now at 5:30 on Newswatch.
Children have a new place to learn about science in Athens.
A fire burns a vacant factory to the ground.
And in sports, the Yukon Huskies are the national champions.
Broadcasting live from WOUB-TV in Athens. This is Newswatch.
An investigation is underway to determine the cause of a fire at a vacant factory building in Jackson County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alyssa Hansen.
And I'm Graylin Roos. The morning fire happened at the old Kuppenheimer Pants Factory in Wellston. As you can see, the flames spread throughout the entire building. The fire was reported at 4:30 this morning and was contained over an hour later. Authorities say they will continue the investigation, but as for the building, they say it's a total loss.
There's a new place for kids in our region to visit to learn about science. The Ohio Valley Museum of Discovery opened today, giving children in Southeast Ohio a hands-on experience with wild weather. WOUB's Christy Ludlow was there at the opening, and she joins us now with more on what happened today.
That's right. There were 2 kindergarten classes that were visiting the museum while I was there. And you know what? You could just feel the excitement in the air as the kids were the first ones to break in the new exhibit.
This is Emma Hartman. She is just one of the students from West Elementary that got to learn about wild weather from rain to tornadoes.
But it's just neat to know a lot about it.
But this isn't the first time Hartman has seen the museum. Her mom is one of the creators and is excited to see all the hard work pay off.
I just had to stop and step back against the wall and just kind of look around, give myself a moment to truly appreciate how far we've come and how just fantastic it is to see kids interacting with things.
Did you hear that noise? That's the sound of thunder. Now, this is just one of the exhibits here at the museum that kids got to play with, but it wasn't all about playing. It was also about a lot of learning.
We can only give so much through our worksheets and our reading of books and our discussions and that sort of thing, but they can actually relate their own knowledge now to something that they did with their own hands.
The kids even got to practice being TV forecasters, and Emma Hartman was not the only one who was loving it.
The thing I like the most is the little TV thing. My favorite part was reporting the news.
The wild weather exhibit will be open and free to the public for the next 2 months. For more information on the museum, visit www.ovmod.org. And you know what, Mike? I think some of those kids might be able to give you a run for your money.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. Give them about 10 or 15 years, and then maybe they'll be sitting here.
You never know. And you know what their prediction for tomorrow's weather is? It might be a little bit rainy. Are they right?
Well, unfortunately, Christy, they are not right. But that's good news. That's good news for us, as we won't be seeing any more rain until about Thursday. And as for your weather right now in Athens, dealing with the high pressure system Wednesday through Thursday, so we should be seeing some nice weather, temperatures in the, comforting range, 46 degrees right now outside. Wind out of the west-northwest, 10 miles per hour, humidity 41%, and our dew point low at 24 degrees. Our pressure at 29.88 inches and rising. As for the current temperatures in the region, got some mid-40s throughout the region, 250s. Ashland and Gallipolis got 47, Huntington, Ripley, Charleston, so some comfortable temperatures outside now except for that wind that is picking up. As for your overnight conditions tonight, 44 degrees at 9 p.m. and then we start to get a little hazy by about midnight, 39 degrees. Now by 3 a.m. we drop down to about 36 degrees, but we should be seeing a warm up through the weekend, so I'll have more and my full forecast. Graylin, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Ohio University Lancaster's first female dean has passed away at the age of 64. Barry Watkins died Saturday after a battle with pancreatic cancer. She became the first female to lead the campus in July 2000. Watkins is credited with opening the Pickerington Center, developing a campus master plan, and increasing student enrollment. A memorial service is planned from Friday at 4 p.m. at St. Luke's in Granville. Ohio University has named the speaker at this year's undergraduate commencement. Dr. Atul Gawande will speak on June 11th, and he will be given an honorary Doctor of Public Service. Gawande is being honored for his work to elevate the human condition. He is a respected expert on healthcare reform and was raised here in Athens.
The Schooneman Symposium at the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism is taking place today and tomorrow with a focus on Mashable media models, recipes for success in an uncertain world. It features individual speakers and larger panels to discuss the ever-changing media landscape and how that affects new journalists entering the workforce. And Tom Hodson is the interim director of the WOUB Center for Public Media, and he joins us now in our studio. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the Schooneman Symposium typically draws many journalism students to learn about these new changes to the field that will affect them eventually. When and why did this event begin?
Well, this is the third year of it, and it began really about 4 years ago when Smitty Scooterman, the benefactor, came to me and said that he really wanted to sponsor a day-long or a day-and-a-half-long symposium on cutting-edge journalism and what the future is going to bring to media. So he has funded it, and every year we bring in people from all over the country, not just for journalism students, but VisCom students, people from across the Scripps College of Communication, as well as throughout the university and the community.
All of the speakers and panels, it says, deal with either new media or photojournalism, things like that. Why were these certain speakers and panelists selected? Well,
Smitty's background was in both photojournalism as well as regular journalism, so he's had a foot in both camps. So he wanted the symposium to be about new media because he wants it to be futuristic and cutting edge, but also have a visual component. So every year we mash the two of them together here, Mashable Media this year, and we bring in people, as I said, from all different kinds of backgrounds, but notable people in their field. I mean, we've got 3 Pulitzer Prize winners this year on the group, and William Allard, who is a 50-year photographer for National Geographic, just got reviewed by the New York Times. He'll be here tomorrow. Ironically, he was Smitty's student when Smitty taught at the University of Minnesota.
How about that for a connection?
There you go.
Now, mostly journalism students attend the symposium, but all the events, it says, are free and open to the public. So why is it important for other students from other majors and then even community members, if they want to attend?
Well, I think media literacy is very important, and one of our main speakers, Robert McChesney, is a leader in media literacy and really writes about the media revolution and how people ought to be more involved. So we always have had members of the community as really good participants, and I'm sure we will this time as well.
What do you hope that attendees take away from any of the events that they choose to attend?
Well, I think that they need to take away a futuristic look, that it's not your father's journalism, so to speak. It's a whole new way of communicating, and that they have a role in that new communication future.
And now, just briefly, where can someone go if they want to get more information on the symposium or any of the speakers that will be there?
Complete schedule is at scripsjschool.org, not .com, scripsjschool.org. Right at the banner headline, they can push on Scooterman Symposium and get all the information.
Sounds pretty easy, Tom Hodson. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you very much.
This month marks the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. While a lot of Ohioans left to fight, some took a different route. In part 2 of our Civil War memories in southeastern Ohio, we take a look at an Ohio University student who ran to Canada to dodge the draft. Henry Hannon was born in 1844 in Gallia County. When Henry completed his schooling at home, he enrolled at Ohio University. And in the fall of 1860, Hannon started classes on campus in Athens. In April of his freshman year, the Civil War broke out. But Hannon continued his schooling until the North instituted a draft in 1863. Hannon fit the description that the North was looking for, but he didn't want to fight. He had 2 options: find a replacement or run away. He chose the latter and became what was known as a draft dodger.
You could cross the border, and there were certainly people, men from the United States, the North, who went to Canada to try to live up there and avoid the draft.
Hannon knew he had to make his way north to Canada. So, 8 days later, he started his journey by going to Pittsburgh. Hannon wrote to his family to give them updates.
If I can get through safely, you will hear from me soon and often. I am very sorry.
His family was sorry that he wasn't with them as well. They were impatient to hear what his fate is to be. Meanwhile, Hannon's brother was on the search for a substitute to help his brother.
If you wanted to find someone who would substitute for you, that would be acceptable.
However, Hannon's mother was not willing to pay for the substitute. With no substitute, Hannon, like many others who felt they had no other choice, made his way to Canada. Henry Hannon and his journey will continue, but first, we return you to Ken Burns' Civil War. To watch more on local Civil War stories, go to WOUB.org and click on the Civil War Memories banner at the top of the page. The stories will also air tonight during the PBS broadcast of Ken Burns' The Civil War here on WOUB. A briefing on oil and gas leasing issues will take place tonight in Albany.
We'll talk with the leader of that meeting after the break.
And the Japanese government apologizes to the world. Next on Newswatch.
Repentance and remorse come from Japan today. The government has apologized for the decision to dump tons of highly radioactive water into the sea, but they say it couldn't have been avoided. 11,500 tons of radioactive water are being pumped into the Pacific Ocean near the damaged nuclear plant. Emergency workers say they can't store it on shore anymore because all that space is needed for the more highly contaminated water.
Negotiations on a deal to keep the government funded seem to have hit a speed bump. House Republicans want another short-term deal to avoid a government shutdown on Friday. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor says not passing the Republican proposal raises the risk of shutdown.
The White House now has increased the likelihood of a shutdown in just dismissing out of hand a vehicle that we have put forward to say, look, we don't want to shut down. Again, our members are very concerned to make sure that our troops are funded and they are paid regardless. That is a real concern. We've got real lives on the line in harm's way. And none of us want to see a government shutdown. We just want to cut spending.
President Obama is meeting with congressional leaders today to help push forward negotiations. A bill to give Ohio's schools more snow days has hit a snag. The House did not agree with certain changes the Senate made to the legislation. It's now up to a legislative committee to hash out the differences between the two chambers before the bill is sent to Governor John Kasich. The measure would give schools 2 more calamity days beyond the 3 they are currently allowed. Harsh winter weather quickly pushed schools beyond that 3-day limit. School districts used to have 5 days but lost 2 under former Governor Ted Strickland.
Many farmers and residents in rural areas have worked with energy services for years, but long-term energy demand and new drilling technology have sparked new and effective leasing arrangements. Dale Arnold, the Director of Energy Services for the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation, joins us now in our studio. Thanks for being here this evening.
Quite welcome.
Well, why is tonight's meeting in Albany being held?
Well, it's being held because a number of members of the County Farm Bureau, over 500 member families, have seen this as a critical issue and want more information, material, more things to help them make a decision if they're taking a look at leasing agreements, taking a look at energy development in the area, things they need to do to create a strategy that helps them and their farm.
Okay, and what are the goals of the meeting tonight?
Goals of the meeting tonight are to talk about what we're seeing with regard to energy development in the area, what we're also seeing with regard to oil and gas development, not only in West Virginia or Pennsylvania and New York, but why Ohio is intrinsically different, geologic structures, what people are seeing in leases in other counties around the area, and what questions you need to ask to effectively take a look at a lease agreement that will help fit the needs of your farm.
Oh, okay. And why are oil and gas leasing issues of interest in this area?
It's interesting. You're seeing a tremendous amount with regard to energy development. Part of it has to do with our policies at state and the federal level. Part also has to do with oil and gas prices, energy security, getting oil from overseas, price of about $4 a gallon with regard to gasoline. It's interesting at this time is that a lot of oil and gas developers are looking at shale formations, which are new and much steeper than what they had before, but they're also taking a look at every other geologic structure that we've seen oil and gas development in since the beginning of the last century.
Okay. And then what are the new developments, if any, in the new drilling technologies?
A lot of people are seeing basically is this. Some of it's going to be much larger, much different. You're hearing about directional drilling, seismic testing on a 3D level, different types of things that you have not seen with regard to traditional oil and gas drilling in this particular area over the last several decades. We're at a pivotal point that oil and gas development could be here in the area much different, much more technologically complex, much larger now than what we've seen just 10 years ago.
So things have really changed a lot. Why is it important for the public to attend tonight's meeting?
To gather more information, you're hearing a lot about a number of issues, a number of technologies. How is this going to impact basically the community? How will it impact roads and bridges? What are some economic development? What are some environmental issues that need to be addressed and need to be discussed, and it gives people we're saying it's a starting point. If you leave the meeting with a number of pieces of information, we'll be giving people also other access to other resources, legal counsel, other types of things they can take a look at as they go down this process, go down this road to make some effective decisions.
Okay, Dale Arnold, thanks again for stopping by tonight.
You're quite welcome.
Yes. And on Wall Street today, stocks flatten as the Federal Reserve says they believe the economy is improving.
Well, clouds are increasing and rain is on the way, but will temperatures continue to warm up? I'll have that and more next on Newswatch. Well, it's springtime, but today certainly didn't feel like it. Good evening, I'm Mike Linden. Now, as for your weather today, we saw temperatures in the mid to low 40s, and we should be seeing our temperatures remain in that exact area, as well as some rain entering our forecast. Now, outside today, 46 degrees with wind out of the west-northwest at 10 miles per hour, and our pressure at 29.88 inches and rising. As for our current temperatures in the mid to high 40s, got some 50s as well in the region. As for our almanac today, 46 degrees for our high, 44 degrees for our low, where normally would be at an average of 62 degrees for our high and 39 degrees for our low. Now, back in 1947 set a record high of 85 degrees, and 1995 set a record low of 21 degrees. This morning, the sun rose at 7:06 a.m. and will set tonight at 7:55 p.m. Now, as for our radar, the story of this week is going to be low pressure, as we see this area of low pressure situated right over Wyoming, and that's going to be giving us a whole bunch of problems as we move closer to the weekend. Now, as for our surface map for today, here is that low pressure system I was just referring to, riding along these two fronts here. Now, as for tomorrow, that's going to move a little closer to us, as well as these other low pressure systems developing along that front as well. Tomorrow night, we're going to see that come even closer to Ohio, and this green line here showing us that we will be dealing with some showers tomorrow night. Now, as for Thursday, these is when the kids are right. This is when the rain is going to show up in our area. That low pressure system right over Indiana, moving right into our region, going to bring us some rain for about the whole weekend, as you'll see later. Now, as for tonight, temperatures in the mid to low 30s as we have clouds increasing throughout the entire area. Now, tomorrow, temperatures coming back up into the 60s. Now, we'll be seeing some of this weather again continue into tomorrow night, as those clouds will remain in the area, mostly cloudy conditions for most of the region. Temperatures in the mid to high 40s, as you can see, 47 Huntington, 46 in Charleston. Now, as for Thursday, temperatures finally reaching that 70-degree mark that we saw yesterday. Now, we were out in shorts and t-shirts, but today got to put those sweatshirts back on. But as for Thursday, we should be seeing a little bit of a warm-up continuing into the weekend. But for tonight, 35 degrees, partly cloudy skies. A little chilly outside today, and wind out of the west, eventually turning south, 6 to 9 miles per hour. And as for tomorrow, 63 degrees, partly cloudy conditions with a light breeze tomorrow. Again, wind out of the southwest at 9 to 14 miles per hour. Now, as for our daily planner for tomorrow, starting off nice, 36 degrees, making our way to about noon at 55 degrees. And as you can see, those clouds starting out partly cloudy, becoming mostly cloudy at around 3 p.m. We have a 30% chance at seeing some rain, and temperatures dipping right down to about 62 degrees at around 6 p.m. Now, as for our 7-day forecast on Wednesday, 63 degrees, 68 degrees on Thursday. Now, this is where it starts to get nasty. On Friday, we start to see some of that rain enter our forecast, and on Saturday, a 50% chance at a thunderstorm. And yeah, as for the rest of the week, we should be seeing some thunderstorms enter our region, and just some really ugly weather turning its ugly head for this weekend. So, Graylin, Alyssa, I'm sorry to say, but time to get those umbrellas ready for this weekend.
And if nothing else, though, too, with just the temperatures today, we got teased from yesterday with that weather, how warm it was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was outside yesterday in t-shirt and shorts, but today I had to put on, jeans and a jacket. It's just, that sort of southeastern Ohio weather.
What are you going to do? That's Ohio for you. Yeah. Now, just like we got teased with the weather, Butler got teased thinking they were going to win last night, apparently.
Yeah, it wasn't a very exciting game. It was probably one of the worst games I saw
in a while for a championship game. However, the women's national championship game is tonight. Maybe that will provide a better contest. That's all coming up next on Newswatch. The 2011 NCAA tournament might be marked as one of the most historic NCAA tournaments, but the 2011 national championship game might be one to forget as UConn defeated Butler 53-41 in a sloppy contest. The A-seed Butler did not look like the Cinderella team that got them to the final dance for the second year in a row. Butler had defeated a 1, a 2, and a 4 seed on their path to the championship. But last night, they gave a worse performance than Rebecca Black, shooting an NCAA championship game low 18.8% from the field. But the third seed UConn wins their third championship under Coach Jim Calhoun. Despite the 2 previous championships, Coach Calhoun felt that the 2010-2011 Huskies will be a team to remember.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have some great teams at UConn, and fortunate to win a couple tournaments. And very honestly, this group, to me, will always be incredibly special.
The women's tournament will conclude tonight and features the second-seeded Notre Dame Lady Irish taking on fellow 2-seed the Texas A&M Lady Aggies. Notre Dame enters the final coming off a huge win over UConn, who just lost 1 game on the season. The Lady Irish have beaten 2 1-seeds on their path. Their opponent, the Lady Aggies, have taken a similar route to the championship, also taking out 2 1-seeds. Texas A&M edged out Stanford 63-62 in the semifinals of the Final Four, but tip-off for tonight's championship game is set for 8:30. The recent weather conditions have put a damper on the early high school baseball season, and while yesterday's rain definitely did not help for today's plate of games scheduled for this evening. All of today's Athens County High School baseball games have been postponed, and with more rain expected to be coming, Mother Nature may cancel even more games. Yesterday's rain, however, did not postpone the Ohio Bobcats baseball game scheduled for today. The Green and White will be taking on West Virginia State. Ohio is coming off a losing series to Central Michigan in which they dropped 2 of 3 games to the Chippewas. The Bobcats are 14-13 on the season. The game is expected to start at 6 p.m. The Cleveland Indians resume play after taking a day off yesterday. The Tribe dropped 2 of 3 games in their opening series against the White Sox. They will be hosting the Boston Red Sox, who are off to a surprising 0-3 start. Josh Tomlin is expected to be on the mound for the Indians, while Josh Beckett will be starting for the Red Sox. First pitch will be at 7:05. Also resuming play are the Cincinnati Reds, the Ohio counterpart for the Indians. The Reds are red hot. They swept the Milwaukee Brewers in their opening series and outscored them 23-11 in the 3-game set. They will be hosting the Houston Astros, who are off to a slow start after getting swept by the Philadelphia Phillies. The Columbus Blue Jackets will miss the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. In fact, they've only made the playoffs 1 time in their 9 seasons of being an NHL franchise. However, there are still 3 games left for the Jackets, and they will be playing one of those games tonight as they travel to take on the Dallas Stars. And while much like the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Cleveland Cavaliers will also not be participating in the postseason, something that the Wine and Gold have gotten used to over the past 2 years. Instead, the Cavs will, with the season being in its final days, will have a chance to play for the potential first-round pick in the 2011 NBA draft. The Cavs currently hold the worst record in the NBA and will be hosting the Charlotte Bobcats tonight, a team that's trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
They just aren't the same, are they?
Yeah, it's been really hard. I'm from Cleveland, and it's been a really difficult season for the Cavs this year.
But it was nice to see them win last week when the Heat were in town. That was their big accomplishment.
That was the big one for this year.
So they got they'll get the first-round pick hopefully too.
Well, hopefully.
We'll see what happens.
Definitely hoping there.
Well, thanks, Nick.
Yep.
And stay tuned tonight on WOUB.
Here's a look at what's coming up next on your public television station.
Well, just a quick recap of your weather tonight, ladies. We should be seeing that rain finally get into our forecast on Thursday. But as for tonight, 35 degrees, a little chilly out there. Wind out of the west, eventually turning south 6 to 9 miles per hour. As for tomorrow, 63 degrees, partly cloudy conditions with a light breeze. Wind out of the southwest at 9 to 14 miles per hour. So temperatures getting back into that mild range. Now, as for our 7-day forecast, Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures getting close to that 70 degrees. But on Friday, all the way through Monday, temperatures going to be in the 60s with some nice comfortable lows in the high 50s, low 60s. But as for that rain, we should be seeing a chance at some thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with the highest chance being on Monday, 60% to start your work week. But the best day of that 7-day forecast, all the way at the end on Tuesday, 60 degrees with a 45-degree low. That should be the best day of the week. The only problem is that we're going to have to get through all that rain first.
Rain's not bad because we have the warm temperatures, if nothing else.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll be able to enjoy spring finally in about a week.
We've been waiting for it. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Of course.
And that does it for our broadcast on this 5th of April, 2011. Thanks for watching.
You can get the latest news and weather on the WOUB radio network or by following us on Twitter at WOUB News. And you can view our program anytime online at WOUB.org. Have a great night.